The null space scene in Sonic Forces perfectly exemplifies the game's obsession with being cool at the expense of depth. As the scene starts, Sonic approaches Eggman, threatening that his plans, as usual, will fail, and Eggman then introduces an incredibly foreign concept to us: null space. A dimension created by his ultimate weapon, the Phantom Ruby, where nothing exists. Nothing at all. Plunging Sonic into null space is the only way he can be sure the meddlesome hedgehog will stay gone for good. Immediately, though, this scene presents several issues related to the pacing and narrative structure of Forces. This is the very first time we're introduced to the concept of null space, and the first time it's even been suggested such a thing could exist. That's because the player's attention has been drawn repeatedly to both the Phantom Ruby itself and Eggman's Grand Master Plan. There wasn't so much a quick comment hinting that another reality-bending ace was up Eggman's sleeve. It's equally unclear why the null space wasn't used earlier in the story. It's summoned from nothing, and it's apparently the biggest threat Sonic's ever faced, judging by its properties and Eggman's description. For something that heavy, you want the audience to feel the weight, and that requires an actual understanding of what's going on and why. The reason shonen tropes like this work so well in their own genre is because we're given reasonable expectations, and then those expectations are subverted. We're told how powerful characters are, how they got that way, and what's coming next. That ensures the fights are tense, and if any world-shattering revelations do occur, we have the necessary context to care. But if the audience doesn't expect anything to begin with, and they've no reason to expect anything, it all falls flat, as it does with null space. The laughability of the concept is amplified immensely by just how fruitless null space is. As an obstacle, it's somewhat less threatening than a rock in the road. After being sucked into this ostensibly inescapable void of nothingness, it turns out there's ground inside. You know, ground, the only thing Sonic needs to succeed, something to run on. So he runs on it and breaks free in seconds. The game quickly whips up some platitudes about how this was caused by the power of friendship, but you can literally mess up the QuickTime event and still escape just fine. It doesn't even feel like my friendship with Sonic had much to do with it. As funny as null space is, it's also a fantastic example of the larger issues with Forces as a whole. While I love Forces, I've played through it many times, it's plainly obsessed with making its young target audience shout, "Whoa, cool!" without any care for how exactly it gets there. At least it's endlessly entertaining to analyze and criticize.